everyone. I'm Namrita from Cyber. I welcome you all to our webinar on global cyber threats, where we basically going to discuss about regional perspective, AI governance, and future trends, mostly the predictions that we are going to do over here. So before I start, okay, I want to, like keep this topic on, and I want to say that I'm sure today we all know that cybersecurity isn't just a technical challenge. It's something that affects us all. When I say that, different regions face different challenges. And going forward, towards this session, we'll talk about how we can tackle them. So without a further delay, because we're going to get into depths of it, without a further delay, allow me to introduce our incredible panelist here. So it's Hi Jane, it's from who's an independent cybersecurity advisor. Mel Migrino, president at Cybersecurity Council of Philippines. Dr. Shiba, associate professor in cybersecurity at University of Mauritius. So when I'm introducing all of them here, of course, they are amazing, amazing leaders in their regions. And let's hear a little about their journey and what they're currently working on. So over to you, Jane. Go ahead, please.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. And as a woman in cybersecurity, I am a consultant for 20 years. At that, I just revealed my age, but anyway, never mind. I'm proud of that. So I have worked in London for 10 years, and the landscapes in Europe region is very different to Asia Pacific. So I'm a C-suite advisors for board of advisors as well. So that's pretty much I'm in a consulting world, so cybersecurity consulting world. Yeah, there we go. Maybe Mel.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, hi everyone. Good day. So, Mel Magrino here. So, I've been in the cybersecurity space. So, I guess I would say two wonderful decades, or I would say two challenging decades. So, I've been around in the industry, mostly critical industry. So, that would be energy, power. So, basically the mammoth of the utilities. I've been also to FSI, so banking as well as fintech, and also telco as well as shared services. So, I've been into really establishing SOCs. Also, I did a lot of cybersecurity transformation. I guess with those 2 decades of experience, and yeah, and then now I'm actually connected with Google. We are practically a global trust technology company. I also sit as one of the information security directors in the Global Anti-Scam Alliance. That's the one based in Netherlands. So yeah, happy to be in this panel.
Great, Mel. Over to you, Dr. Shiva.
Hello everyone, I'm Associate Professor Dr. Amagam from University of Mauritius. We are a small island in the Indian Ocean, and I'm a PhD holder in cybersecurity. That's my main area, AI and cybersecurity. So I've been in this field for the past so many years, giving speeches, keynotes, and everything. And I teach forensics, cyber forensics, and cybersecurity to undergraduate, postgraduate, and doctoral students. And I also do my supervision PhD in cybersecurity. And there is a topic called as cyber psychology. Maybe you're not aware, some of you, cyber resilience, etc. So, voila, that's my area, mainly in cybersecurity, supervising, teaching, speaking, everything on this, and AI, of course.
Awesome. Great to have you all. So, as we all know that each one of you brings unique insights from your own region, what do you think are the biggest cybersecurity challenges in your region and how are they different from global trends? So, that is something we are taking forward as the first subject for our discussion. I would request Jane if you can add on here your, insights.
Thank you. So I'm a consultant, so it's international. So I could probably break down from North America region. We look at a lot of our clients are actually focusing on ransomware and data breaches. So in the Europe part, they predominantly highlight on the GDPR implications and cross-border cybercrime. For Asia Pacific in these regions, we look at address zone. We see a lot of upticks on state-sponsored attacks and intellectual property theft. And in South America and Africa region, we looked at emerging cybercrime markets and the lack of cybersecurity infrastructure. That's where the concerns of those regions that we see from a consulting point of view, be it in financial, FSI, telcos, and manufacturing. Those are the three predominant areas that we see the uptick on trend landscapes in these areas.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. To the panelists, I mean, you can add, what do you see the major challenges in your region or the regions that you want to add your insights towards?
Yeah, I can share. So, well, as I've mentioned earlier, so I work for the Global Anti-Scam Alliance, and we do have actually a project together with my company, Kokulu. So I would like to share here the Asia Scam Report for 2024. So the Asia Scam Report was actually a joint project of GASA and Kokulu. So we have practically conducted a survey across 13 countries with a total number of participants of around 25,000. And some of our findings provide an in-depth look at the scam threats together with the methods employed by the scammers and of course the responses from the citizens across these different countries. So some of the observations that I would like to share is that, for example, citizens from Indonesia, China, India, and as well as my country, the Philippines, express the highest level of confidence in terms of recognizing scams, while citizens from Japan have the least number of confidence. We also noted that the scam frequency varies across the region. Like, for example, they practically experience the highest rates of scam encounters with around 90% citizens facing scams monthly or even more. But this is in contrary with what's happening in China and Pakistan, wherein they would have scam encounters of they would have most of the time would be encountering scams and fraud. While in Thailand and in South Korea, we saw that the largest yearly scam frequency, while in Vietnam and in Malaysia, we reported as the most significant reductions as well on scams. And it is also good to know that across countries, people are really generally aware of the AI-driven scams, especially those AI-generated text messages, SMS messages are gaining traction across Asia. Thank you.
That's true. That's really true. Dr. Shiba, would you like to add how you see the region getting impacted? And
Well, for me, just because I work for the university, I won't be able to contribute to this question
okay, it's okay.
regarding
Yeah, so let's move on because we have a big elephant to discuss right now in the room is AI. Because AI is everywhere now. It's changing how cyber attack happens and how we defend against them. So, it's said that with this great power comes with great responsibility. So, Dr. Shiva, I have a question for you because you talk a lot about AI governance, resilience, and part of it. So I would like to know that how can we make sure AI is used responsibly in cybersecurity?
Okay, thank you, Namrata. And well, I would like to explain that quite in detail so that you'll give me some time. So when we talk about ethical use of AI, ethical governance in cybersecurity, first of all, I wish to address is cybersecurity is no longer just a field for selected few, like, you say women in cybersecurity, men in cyber. We don't say that. It is for everyone. So it is not confined to actually IT teams or security expert. It belongs to everyone. So, for example, you click, like I think previously they were saying, one of them was saying about, some of the AI scams, for example. So everything, what we do, the transaction, for example, everyday exchange, what we are doing on internet, on the cyber world, it involves security. And as we integrate AI into this cybersecurity, then ethical governance become more critical than before. So there is one question I would suggest we need to ask ourselves. If AI is making critical security decision on our behalf, are we making sure that it acts ethically? The AI, I mean to say the AI, does it act ethically, transparently, and responsibly? Do we have the answer? Because the truth is, if ethics and governance are embedded in our DNA, we can build a more secure system. I can guarantee that. If we can have ethics and governance being practiced at the level of school, by default, like a hygiene, cyber hygiene, and I'm sure we can have a trustworthy, inclusive, and fair system available. Now, like you asked, first thing what we have to know is AI and cybersecurity. So AI is revolutionizing cybersecurity. So it helps us, as you said, it is a powerful tool. It helps us to detect threats. You can respond to incident faster. You can analyze, huge amount of data. But AI is not inherently ethical. By default, it's not ethical, right? So it learns from the data that is being fed by the developer. It learns. AI does not govern itself. It follows the policies that we set. And AI is not accountable. We are accountable for when we are using. So when AI is used in cyber threat detection, facial recognition, like in many organizations, many places, we see that predictive policing, we use them, user behavior, we do use. So what can happen is it can reinforce biases. You can invade to somebody's privacy. You can make unfair decision making. So if we don't have proper governance, AI could lead us down a dangerous path. So this is where we need to talk about the factors. First of all, the bias in AI. Who's at risk? Like, when AI models, as I said, it inherit biases from the data that are trained. So if cybersecurity AI is built on biased data set, it can unfairly target specific groups. So like some AI-based fraud detection system, it may happen, it block transactions from certain demographics. So imagine we are being flagged as a cybersecurity risk because of your location or your gender. So the solution could be you need to have a diversified team, like you say about women in cybersecurity. It's anyone. It's to be diverse, right? So in developing AI governance to ensure fairness, and of course, it should be gender irrespective. The next thing before I talk about responsible AI is transparency as well. We need to talk about all the factors. When we talk about transparency right now, it's like a black box problem. So many AI-driven tools that we have, cybersecurity tools, they operate like a black box. So you see the result, but we don't know how the AI arrived at that. So even AI system, like let's say, as I said, deny access to a legitimate user to enter the network, how do we know if the decision was fair? So we must demand some kind of explainable AI, a solution, that system that gives you a clear justification for the decision taken. So these kind of factors, it can enhance the trust in our system. Another factor to be considered for responsible is privacy and security. So AI-powered, we have seen surveillance tools. I'm sure you all agree with me that organizations nowadays, they do monitor online activities in the name of security. But where do we draw the line between protection and intrusion into privacy? See, monitoring someone is also an intrusion into somebody's privacy. So it is important to know how ethical AI governance, we should balance the privacy, balance the security, so that we abide to the data protection law as mentioned by GDPR, CCP, and all this law are abided while practicing governance or using system. One more factor, what I would to say in responsible part is accountability. Now, who's responsible? Like when we talk about if an AI system fails to detect, let's say, cyber attack, or you wrongly accuse an innocent user or maybe an activity, who takes the responsibility? We have seen certain instances in the news. I wish not to tag the names. So unlike we have this human security analyst, AI, they don't face legal consequences, whereas its creators, they are going to face.
That's true.
So cybersecurity, leaders, they must implement a clear accountability structures to make sure that AI failures do not cause harm. So AI and governance should be in our DNA. Like, if we truly want a safer, secure digital world, if you speak about, we need to embed, as I said earlier, ethics and governance in our cyber DNA. That is, we have an ethical practice when we are using the system. So cybersecurity, as I said, is for everyone. It's not just focused on women in cybersecurity or for an IT team. It is every organization, every leader, every individual, they have a role to play in the cyber world. So ethics in AI should not be a negotiable way. It should be non-negotiable, because without ethical guidance, AI can become a weapon of discrimination. That's what I feel, rather than protection. And women in cybersecurity, of course, it matters because diverse perspective leads to stronger, fairer, and more effective security solution. So, well, I feel responsibility comes from all these factors to be AI responsible. Yeah.
That's wonderfully said. I mean, I do understand wherever we lead, we have to question why first, and what and how, whichever subject we dive in. For sure, it's a good insight to have it from you, Jane and Mel. I would like to have your thoughts around it, because Jane, particularly, have seen your thoughts around both offensive and defense side of the sector in cybersecurity. What do you think how AI is, how we can protect against cybersecurity, the way AI has changed a lot of things today?
Thank you, Narada. And actually, echoing to Dr. Shiva, so let's take an example. I'll dive into a case study so that you guys could comprehend. So I, as a consultant to help people automate using AI to automate in terms of processes. So pick, for example, one sector of automations in manufacturing and mining. So the similarity between manufacturing industry and mining industry is that they are deploying a lot of sensors, whether it be at the factory level or at the mining site, the minerals mining site. So the sensors that are deployed, so one use case is we deploy sensors to actually watch, human facial recognition and temperature gauging. The reason being because on site, these are heavy, industries. So any life and death is going to cause the company's implications of shares going down because there's a death on the site. So the closure of the manufacturing for investigations, and in mining site, if there's a life and death, the license will be held. They will be stopped working. So when the productions are cut, then it impacts the profit, the bottom line. So sensors are deployed to actually detect humans if they have temperature, if they have fever, or if they had previous night drank, and they are not sober enough to be on the site, and they are about to cause an accident or an incident that might turn into a death, then that's where the AI actually flags the person up, the temperature is going up or someone is not feeling well, and the site manager will actually pull the person out of the floor or on the field ground. So that's the protection side of using AI and sensors. Now, as an ex-CISO of a bank, how we use predictive analysis is that. So let's move two steps back. So we do the preventative first, then the predictive. So I think preventative first is detections. What can we do before we detect something? So obviously the awareness and all that, but AI now, it's being used at the emails level at every single access point that we have in our endpoint, be it your laptops, be it your phones, everything is screened by AI now. Take Microsoft, for example. I'm not vouching for Microsoft, just for example.
Yeah.
All the emails, we are phishing through email. A lot of the attackers are phishing through email. So what AI is doing at the back end is that they are eliminating what AI would see as a potential phishing emails before us even clicking or seeing the actual phishing emails. So before it even lands in front of our eyes in our email mailbox, it's already taken out by AI at the back end. So that's the preventative side of it that we've seen. And a lot of the product vendors are actually applying that using AI. Now, moving a step further from preventative to predictive and detection. So the detections now we are using embedding behavioral monitoring of the pattern of users' daily usage, for example. Today, Namrata is usually she works at hours A to hours B. But suddenly she logged in and she downloaded a whole lot of gig of data and she's about to exfiltrate out or move it out or somewhere. And then that abnormal behavior would then be flagged by the AI. One, the AI would then block before you even extract the documents out or the data out of the network. That's the preventative. And the predictive is that in future, they know what trends, who are working from which region, and the normal traffic and the abnormal traffic, who's coming in, and usually where the source IP comes from. So those are all the detections that we'll do in using AI. Now, predictive is when we use AI in predicting, for example, we have a closing month-end accounting, for example, in finance. So we see a spike of traffic on data packets coming in from certain country because of reporting of financing. Then, for example, during the closure of the submissions of all the data, the figures, we see figures are starting to change. So predictive is when we realize, based on the previous history, the AI has learned the figure should be around here, coming from this country, encrypted in this file, but suddenly there's an attached, let's say a zip file that was unexpected from a different source. Then they will actually quarantine or contain that packet for a SOC, a security operations centers analyst, to actually flag them and actually look at the zip file, whether that it contains payload inside. Payload being the malicious scripts that could be run on the endpoints. So that's where we actually predict when it's coming in, what's the normal traffic and what is not. So, and actually that's the predictive side. And then we do the automation side. So we're trying to not eliminate, I should say repurpose security operation centers analysts from L1, L2 to doing L3 work. So the L1, L2 is now streamlined by AI so that the A1, the L1, L2 people can then upskill themselves. They become an L3, for example, focusing more on reverse malware engineering, for example, instead of sifting through the tickets coming in. So there's pros and cons, like Dr. Shiva was mentioning, how AI and automations helps. I mean, it helps businesses, but I think from human side, we need to upskill ourselves, like, typical example, L1, L2, taking up the skill sets of an L3.
That's right. I mean, I do get your sense where, it does do a lot of, it helps, it's going to help, or it started helping already to do a lot of oversight areas where a human being can do a human error in even identifying, or maybe it's loads of issues and then picking that one, which is really matters to the company's impact point of view. So that's a lovely thought. Coming to the resilience part of it, Mel, because you have a lot of experience in that side. What should we be worried about with AI in cybersecurity, and how can we handle it? So, because we talked about prevention, we talked about, the automation and a lot of prediction that it can do and help us. But what do you think we should be worried about?
Okay, so I guess in terms of like factors that we need to be, to be aware of, right? So of course, taking off from the response of the two, panelists here is really around weaponization of AI. So like for example, in our case, so we are in the trust technology business, and we do have a large amount of data, right? And the large amount of data that we have, I would say, would somehow be related to cyber crimes, or basically we hold millions, billions of data leading. So that being the case, we are actually, even as a technology company, we are actually worried about really like if there are cases wherein we were not be able, to secure. Because when you look about like the security in your AI ecosystem, uh, in our company, it's not only about the data that you want to secure. So since we have data practically from the different AWS regions, it's not only about the different models, or let's say algorithms, but more to that is the ecosystem, practically the our built-in AI infrastructure. Why? Because if those assets within our AI infrastructure is actually compromised, right? then then how we can do proper analysis, how we can do appropriate predictive analytics in all of our customers across the globe. Because what we do is based on the data we have, we actually analyze it, and then we risk profile. We provide you a certain risk rating with regard to, let's say, a certain scam or fraud conversation, or even it could be an image. So and of course, we don't want as well to have any cases of infiltration of malicious scripts, infiltration of practically bad data within our database. So just to share with you, in our organization, so we have actually embarked on looking at an AI risk management framework. So I guess majority of these are the ones discussed by Dr. Shiba earlier. This is something that we as a technology company started to embark. So we started formulating, like we actually conceptualized how are we going to formulate our AI team. Is our AI team part of engineering, or is our AI team part of our digital risk strategy group? So something like that, until we were able to actually, arrive in a specific strategy wherein we do have a group, but our AI group would consist of different stakeholders, different experts coming from the technology teams, as well as risk, cybersecurity, and compliance teams. Why? Because we believe that this should be our strategy, so that we can fully identify from the different facets of the business, like what are the potential risks, and how this risk can potentially be exploited within the environment that we need to secure. So I guess those are some of the things that we are really trying to watch out for. Also, we have tightened some of the controls as well within our managed SOC. Why? Because we needed to make sure that our managed SOC doesn't only cover what is our BAU infra, as well as BAU operations, but also it should heighten the monitoring with regard to the the new set of data that are actually entrusted to us by the law enforcement. So I guess those are some of my thoughts around it.
That's lovely to hear. What I'm taking away from the whole segment is that the risk management, AI risk management, is the new term that will be introduced very soon in the system and should be there, as the technology needs to be assessed very briefly but before even getting into the system, even to helping us, or even from the bad and good side, from both the perspectives. So if we see towards the future trend, and if we want to look at 2025 and beyond, what do you think, like how should we see, are we like what new cybersecurity trend should we be ready for? So, I mean, my question goes back to Mel, to you. What do you think major trends in your region from
Okay.
being ahead of the time?
Yeah, so I think in terms of like looking like present and then down the road, I think we we need to prioritize safeguarding the supply chain because, as we know, majority of the components of your supply chain now are actually powered by AI, right? And then, of course, we've been seeing a lot of massive impersonation. So it could be a brand impersonation for those countries who will be having their national elections this year. So there's going to be not only brand impersonation, but there's going to be also impersonation targeting. It could be politicians, celebrities, etc. Right? Other things that I'm seeing is, of course, the agentic AI. So I see that, like AI systems can actually be autonomously plan and execute tasks, acting more digital assistants as compared to the digital assistants that we used to have. So I guess that's one, a more advanced Gen AI. So there's going to be a lot of growth around Gen AI. And I think what is alarming here is you take up those two and then you put in the equation of the quantum computing. Although quantum computing is not yet within our country, but it has been gaining a lot of a lot of traction in terms of the benefits. But let us not also discount like what harm it can do to us, right? Because in quantum computing, you can easily crack. You can easily crack passphrase, passcodes, right? As well as those difficult credentials. So I think
I
I
understand.
think yeah. So I think with regard to that, we should also think about like really leveraging as well on the power of AI in terms of strengthening your IGA, identity governance and
Love,
assurance.
lovely to hear that keyword that you just mentioned, quantum computing. And, there are huge concerns for the future, towards quantum computing. So, I mean, my question goes to Dr. Shiva. How do you see quantum computing changing the cybersecurity? Because the shifts that are coming in from AI and we are still, recognizing a lot of streamlining factors within the industry and various industry together. So, looking at that mass, and then we are also moving towards a very challenging space of, quantum computing. What do you think, basically, like, how do you see quantum computing technology changing cybersecurity?
Well, quantum computing, as Mel has just mentioned, it hasn't come in the boom yet. It is still in the initial stage. We are in the research stage. But of course, it is going to be a threat, though it's going to be having a great advantage of faster security, solutions. But it's going to break our current solutions security aspects. We are going to have threat regarding that. So before going to quantum itself, I just go along with what Mel has said. We are right now on Gen AI. People are using AI without even being aware about that. So I think before we jump to the future trends, it is important for what is happening right now currently to be trained. And the basic training, we talk about cybersecurity awareness program. We hear this all the time, but we hardly hear about AI awareness program or Gen AI awareness program or cyber resilience awareness program or governance awareness program. It's always cybersecurity awareness. And I think it's time we have a shift. We need to shift to make people aware what they use. It's same like you're giving someone a gun and say, shoot. How to use, that's up to you. So AI has become a tool like that. It's up to you. You use how you want. But I go back again, we need to do everything ethically, whether we talk about quantum, it's my perception, okay? So I feel that when a technology is introduced to the world, whether it's a tool, whether it's a technology very high level, it is important that has to be validated before it is being introduced to the public. So otherwise, if we come with a tool, I think the public should be trained to how to use the tool. We can't give someone a tool and then say that you're using it wrongly. So now you're under problem. We have to train people to use the tool. Right now, what's happening is technology is getting into higher, escalating so fast, and people are not aware about the ethics behind using them, and there's no law governing that. maybe GDPR and certain laws are there. Some countries, they do have law for AI. Few, it's just 2 or 3 countries, not all over the world. So you can't claim that you're making a mistake using certain things because it doesn't come under a specific law. So I think this is one factor that we need to focus. And then moving to quantum security and quantum cyber security and all this, that comes the next step. Again, we need to make people aware about that. We need to make people aware that what is quantum computing, what is it's going to be escalatingly powerful, and how it can damage the existing system and how it can benefit. Of course, it's going to benefit banking sector and almost all the sectors. But I think before we talk about benefit, we need to say how it's going to be harmful as well, so that people are aware about, organizations are aware, they are prepared. So right now, if you see cyber incidents response planning, maybe Mel and Jen, you all know about that, how organizations, they handle the cyber incidents response planning. We cannot have the same response planning when quantum computing come in the picture. That's going to change everything. Your cyber threat intelligence, how you're detecting the threat right now, how you handle the incident response is going to be totally different. Even with AI, it's different. The crime that is being done with AI is totally different. So I think it's going to have I don't know, it's going to have a major change where we need to accommodate the change without having a gap in the knowledge for AI, cybersecurity, cyber resilience, so that it's a continuous flow. Many times we have come across that people are having training for cybersecurity, but nothing to do with AI, nothing on cyber resilience. And suddenly we are shifting to a future trend, which is quantum risk or quantum security. And I think this gap can be an issue for public to learn what is actually this quantum resilience, quantum risk, or quantum computing, or quantum cybersecurity, whatever the term will come in the future.
Yeah.
My baseline would be awareness program for any technology we introduce. It is the basic.
Perfectly said that. I mean, I definitely hear you all. Jane, from, as Dr. Shiva and Mel completely, resonated with each other from both the aspects, and they really looked beyond or coming in the future on both the aspects, Gen AI, which is the most happening keyword itself, and then going forward, quantum computing, and the most important term we talk about is awareness. What do you think specifically from the security team's perspective today should be focusing on as cyber threats are continue to evolve from here? So
I mean, to actually look at from Southeast Asia point of view, I don't know if you notice it, every country in Southeast Asia now, government level, because earlier I mentioned about nation state attack.
yes,
That's a pattern that we see through threat intelligence tools, dark web monitoring. We see the flow of attacks coming in and out from country to attacking another country, neighboring country, for businesses, intelligence, persuading, like I think it was Mel who mentioned, or Dr. Shiva will mention about politicians, voting into positions and all that. So it actually skew using AI to make the poll or make propaganda using deepfake technologies, that kind of impersonations to mimic certain person, but actually that president or whoever, prime minister, did not actually verbalize those things. So the skew in terms of data sovereignty law, or some country call it data residency law, is tightening up, especially in Southeast Asia and in India. So data protection is one pillar. So we look at personal identifiable informations from business perspective, but from a nation perspective, Southeast Asia countries are actually implementing data residency or data sovereignty law, whether it be pilfering intellectual property of corporations, industry that is fueling the GDPR of the economic of the country. That is what the government level is actually panicking about. And using AI now is a machine war. We have seen machine attacking machines, AI versus AI. And that war, it's like Dr. Shiva said, what you feed into the machine is the key, right? If you build let's say a baby, right? You're building a robot baby from this day one, day zero, you're feeding it to attack something. That's the type of data you're feeding to implanting in the robot's mind and head. Attack. You only know how to attack. So imagine the AI grows up being an adult. It gets more and more offensive and aggressive. That's when they actually deploy. Now we're at the point of whose AI, nation AI, is better than whose. And they actually text in the ground. And we see the pinging, right? We can see all the different types of TTPs, tactics, techniques, and procedures that are being used by different nations. And we can tell which nation is good at what kind of TTPs attack. And they are testing the ground, and the other country is pushing the limit and see if they can actually deflate it, deflect it, or are they matured enough to use their AI to counter attack? That's the maturity level they are measuring themselves. And I won't say the country name, but there is a specific country they're actually going on the offensive mode, not on the defensive. I don't want to defend myself anymore. I'm switching model to go into military offensive mode. So they have built a very large team to just counter attack, to protect the nation's critical infrastructures, industries, and the supply chain, the lifeline of the nation. That's one. And AI compliance regulations. If you go into regulated industry, those are the pattern that I see that they are now corporations. This is business side. First, I mentioned about nation side. Now, if you go to the industry level, their main concern is, when I use this robot, is my company data safe? Where does my data actually sits at this point? If I use that robot, will it leak out? Who have access to it? If my company confidential data is because from employees' point of view, like Mel and Dr. Shiba was talking about awareness, right? AI awareness, ethics, compliance, risk management. Not all level of employee have that mindset. So they was like, I just want to make my life easier. I'm just going to copy and paste it. Hey, AI, can you please summarize this? And, just come up with a nice diagram, reports, and so on. And then I can submit it. Make my life easier. But what I inadvertently didn't know is that they are giving out the company's data out. So, that's where the compliance, ethics, governance all comes in. So those are the two trends that I see.
That's I think sums up all. I mean, so it's a great conversation that we're having today. And yes, I want to just say out loud to our audience that you can keep writing your question. I'll take your questions in the end for the panel. We are about to switch into a very good conversation around resilience, where I want to keep it as an open question to all of you, that how do we shift from, because how we respond to and recover from cyber threat is the key to staying secure, right? So now, how do we shift from reacting to cybersecurity attacks to preventing them in the first place? I know we have talked about it here and there, but how do we summarize it for the audience to take the key takeaways from this major section? Mel, over to you if you want to start with.
Okay, so I guess as we tread this ever evolving digital space, I would say we are also in this VUCA world, right? Hence, we need to ensure that we continuously recognize the threats through, well, I guess number one would be around continuous environment scanning, situational analysis, right? And how and really see through like how these threats can really materialize into being risk that can practically damage our business. We need to look at resilience from a broader perspective. So it is not just about technology, but we need to look at it. It is more of like a cross-border responsibility, that brings together ASEAN or the region as one progressive digital nation, and look at putting in like strategies anchoring from laws or regulations regarding cybersecurity, digital transformation, to to ensure that there is a rapid assimilation across different cyber capabilities. And one thing is, since this is an all-women panel, the manner that we build the strategies, the manner how we beef up the capability, so it has to be inclusive. And I do believe that we as women, we play a very important role in really achieving a secure digital ASEAN. Thank you.
That's great. That's great. So open to both of you as well. Anyone wants to add further to it?
Maybe
Well,
go on, Dr.
may I?
Shiva.
Yeah, for reactive to, I think your question was on how to have reactive to preventive cybersecurity measures, right?
Yes.
Yes, I feel we should follow, it's high time we follow the zero trust model. Like, you don't trust inside or outside the network, and I think this should be a culture. Well, when I say about this many times in the speech, people feel offended. They feel that we are targeting employees being not trustable. We don't mean that. Zero trust model is not about, see, right now I'm on Zoom for your platform. So if there is a crime from my system, I can't be responsible. It's the system. So we are not talking about a human as a person. We are talking about the account that is connected, the user account that is connected. So it is important, whatever device that we are connecting, we take into a zero trust model, that is don't trust, and have the authentication done at every step. I understand it can be quite hectic. And also we talk about security first culture. It is important everyone to have that security first culture, to know what is phishing, what is social engineering, and all these details, the cybersecurity best practices, hygiene. It is nice to say about organization like Jane and Mel has discussed about many people. It's not many, it is some people are aware about threats. If you
Yeah,
see
that's
80%,
true.
they're not aware, they are users, they are not aware about the threats, they are just users.
Yeah.
So when they become a victim of the threat, then now they want to be aware. So I think reactive, the traditional perimeter system method has to be shifted to proactive method or preventive method by taking security as a step every time, not when a threat comes. Like reactive is when there is a threat, you react for the threat. And one method is you bring cyber threat intelligence and forensics together. If you give me 1 minute more, I could explain this. One ideal method could be, we all have an organization CTI, cyber threat intelligence, to detect threat. The problem right now is forensics comes when a crime happens. So what we do, we suggest is, I have done a patented work on that. We bring them together. That is CTI and DFI together. So you don't have to wait for the crime to happen. You can detect the possible crime that's happening and take measures accordingly in real time. And I think including AI governance. So if you could make CTI, forensics, and governance together, I think you can seamlessly shift from reactive to preventive method and reduce the risk much better. Yeah. That's from my side.
Thank you. So I think Mel was touching more on strategy, governance and all that. And Dr. Shiva goes on defensive, and I'm a little bit on offensive now. So I was actually more on the proactive offensive side. So I like to challenge the status quo. So my thought is moving forward, you need to have cyber hygiene given. Okay, you need to patch all that. It's must have, not should have. It's a must have, because to reduce down, for example, everyone is looking at 0 day, and 0 day being unknown by the product vendor itself, that is a vulnerability in their product, for example. Now we have the 1 day attack, which means the hackers are exploiting vulnerabilities within a short window of time before the patches is released by the product vendor. So there are 0 day attacks and 1 day attacks. So those are very common nowadays. So to avoid that, or to predict that, is to integrate behavioral, and I meant behavioral threat hunting with threat intelligence, echoing Dr. Shiba on threat intelligence. So the threat intelligence then feeds in, giving insights as the landscapes of attack for a certain industry. Let's say I'm in banking. Threat intel that I will be gathering from the WoW, for example, OSINT, open source, or it could be a paid tool, then feeds into my threat intelligence team to hunt to proactively hunt for the vulnerabilities that are in the bank today. And back in 2018, I started that as one of the first CISO that actually challenged the status quo. And when everyone heard about what red team, but I didn't know what red team was. So as a CISO, I actually built a red teaming on the second line of defense of the bank. And that sets a trend throughout the whole of Malaysia banks that adopted it. So predictive AI, proactive AI-driven threat detections and prediction is a must for me. So
Wonderful
thank you.
wonderful takeaway from here. Like, zero trust are the keywords, predictive AI, and as Dr. Shiva also mentioned, making sure we become more proactive than being reactive are the major keywords here. Before I end this webinar, wonderful webinar of today, we have a few questions. One is for Mel. Have you seen any software supply chain attack through open source AI models? If so, what types of malicious attack do you see? That is backdoors in the algorithm versus in the source code.
Okay. Let me gather my thoughts because I need to sanitize my answer. Okay. Yeah, I just need some time to, yeah. So, okay, open source. Okay, open source AI models, right? So, I think similar to any open source libraries, right, or application, it actually contains its own vulnerabilities, right? Especially if you will not do any security testing before actually adopting such. Now, well, in my experience, pretty recently, yes, I have actually seen that. And what happened there, I cannot name the company, but for sure it's not us. Okay, so what happened there is that so they have actually adopted an open source AI model, and then since business imperative, right, would in most cases would always come first, and of course their cybersecurity capability hasn't really ramped up, so they're really more of like really introducing to the market, okay, so this is my MVP, that being the case, and then they adopted this open source AI, and only to find out that they are actually, it's practically compromised. So since it is compromised, of course, it is already inside, right? It is already inside your network. Then, it actually created the path for them to monitor the activities of the developers, to monitor the activities of those who would have privileged access. And of course, because of that, I think you would know how, in most cases, this story would go. Of course, there goes your privilege escalation. And then, yeah, it practically compromises not all, but I guess a few of their databases, but actually to them, these databases actually contains new new features, or yeah, new product features that eventually they would want to launch to the market. Yeah, so it's yeah, uh so yes, actually to your question, it's actually very true. That's the reason why it is really essential to follow AI risk assessment. It is, it is a must have that you also exercise the different cybersecurity testing that that we used to do. Don't just think that because it's AI, right? And it is, let's say quite a trusted open source, then more or less it's okay. It is not always the case, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Jane, we have a question from the same person for you, but in the benefit of time we have left to it, we can take that question offline and would respond to Dan later on for his question. But nevertheless, thank you so much. It was a wonderful discussion that we had, from regional challenges to AI, the good part to it, future trends and resilience. I think we have covered a lot of ground today in a small set of time. Thank you so much, for your insights, and absolutely, you're shaping the future of cybersecurity, and it's an inspiring. I mean, for me, definitely, it's inspiring to see such leadership. So, thanks a lot for joining us today. And thank you to our lovely audience who are with us today for giving us such a precious time. And we hope you got useful takeaways with you today. And before I forget, I do want to wish you all a very happy Women's Day. And of course, let's see again until next time, and stay secure. Thank you so much for your time, guys.
Thank
Bye.
you, Namrata. Thank you,
Okay,
everyone.
thank you. Bye.